Hi, and welcome to 100% Wild, 100% Fair Chase, Volume 6, Hang to Kill. We get a lot of questions about information at the Drury Outdoors studios, and none more frequently than, please tell us a little bit about why you hung in that particular tree. So we decided to use this particular volume to talk about why we hunt, where we hunt. Enjoy the production. It was created for you.
Well, we're heading down to Blue River Whitetails with David Shoddy.
You know, every year I look forward to going down to Kansas.
It usually pays off every year. We just gotta pray for good weather.
You know, the only problem we found in the last 3 years going down to northeast Kansas is you go down there for the early season muzzledeer hunt, you got to really worry about the temperatures. You know, it's the same story year after year. We get down there and temperatures are in the 90s.
Show me the promised land there, Mr. Shoddy.
You know, these darn outfitters, they always use the wrong stands. We have to bring in the right ones. Mare step, baby.
Well, you know, we get here, we hunt the first day, the second day, the third day, we see minimal activity.
You know, when it got into the night 4, we decided we got a wildlife eye with us. We haven't had a chance to put it out. We're going to put it out, and we're going to hunt tomorrow and check that wildlife eye. And if we don't see nothing, we're going to head home to Minnesota because it seems like we're just wasting time.
I tell you what, if we wanted Kuehn, we could kill Kuehn. If we wanted coyotes, we could kill coyotes. But, you know, we're down here trying to hunt a big buck. You think we can see one of them? No. There you go.
Temperature maybe drops, 10 degrees. It's in the high 80s and hardly any movement. And we decided we're going to get the flashlight out, go down and check that wildlife eye, and finally we got some buck movement.
Thank God there was 2 or 3 decent bucks, so maybe our luck will change a little bit like it does every year, and we'll get in there and we'll see some good movement.
Well, we're down to the last evening. It's our 6th day down here in Kansas. We're down to the last 3 hours of the hunt. We haven't been able to connect yet, but we decided tonight we're going to get way back in here in these bedding areas. We know from the past that the buck's been all through that island and they've been in this hillside, so we're hoping we can catch them moving before they head up to these milo fields.
You know, sure enough, we got up in the stand, and it wasn't no more than maybe a half hour and we seen the first deer.
Splashing in the water. What an awesome night so far, though.
I think it was maybe an hour before dark, and all of a sudden I looked over and I spotted this great big buck.
There's a real nice buck. There is a monster 10-pointer right down there. I think we're going to be out of luck, though. These darn does buggered in front of us are going to take him away. Boy, just a beauty.
You know, the next thing you know, there was a buck coming from here, a buck coming from there. There was bucks moving all over, but our problem is they were staying a little too far away.
He just doesn't understand. He could have rode first class to Minnesota. All he had to do is come a little closer. Oh, there's a buck right here. muzzleloaders because you get smoked out right away. But I just caught it with the binoculars run off. You can see he's hurt bad. 6 long days down here in Kansas. This is night 6 on the 5-day hunt. As you can tell, we ain't had the best luck this week. Tonight we come into this spot. It's one of those spots you just dream of hunting. We've seen probably 160 incher, 125 incher, another 120 incher. And we've seen this buck here, he's got 3 drop tines. I'd almost given up hope. I didn't think it was gonna happen. Last minute, last day buck right there.
You know, I'm always excited when I draw that early season tag down in Kansas, and this year was no different. You know, we had a lot of big bucks that we were trying to hunt. You know, we struggled all week. The first 5 nights, me and Eric hunted field edges, trying to catch a buck coming into a green field, and just never seemed to work for us. And, you know, this was supposed to be a 5-day hunt. Well, we were 6 days into a 5-day hunt, and we decided we had to change our strategy. We decided to get off of the fields, get back in there 400 or 500 yards, get back in the bedding areas, and find a spot where the bucks feel comfortable before dark. And last night just paid off huge dividends for us. I mean, we seen 160 class deer, had him coming in, seen a couple other nice 120 to 130 class deer, and right at dark, probably 20 minutes before dark, this guy here came out and was rubbing trees and presented a nice 65-yard shot, and we just couldn't turn it down. Just a neat little buck. He's one of the prettiest deer I've ever shot. He's got 2 white patches, got 3 drop tines, and this is gonna be a nice buck to come back to Minnesota with us.
Man, is that a beautiful sight or what? Welcome to Illinois. Here we are, it's October the 1st, opening day of the Illinois archery season. We was excited about getting up here, but also a little saddened by it too, you know. First time in about 5 years that Scotty Blair's not been with me to film. He's started a new job, don't have any vacation time, but my good friend Joe Ivey's jumped right in, going to help me out this week.
I was just thankful for the opportunity that he would ask me to go, and you know, I was just tickled.
When I met Joe this morning, you know, just to hear the excitement in his voice and see it in his face and his eagerness to go, I think we're going to be okay. You know, after a 10-hour ride from Tennessee to Illinois, we couldn't wait to get out of the truck and stretch just a little bit, but you know, just as soon as your feet hits the ground, it's time to go to work. You know, we had to put out our wildlife eyes. This setup situation here is particularly where we like to put these, something where deer are here for a while, not just passing through. We've got the pond here behind me. We've got a good trail coming off the bank here where the deer are coming to water. We've got a fresh horn tree right over here. We're gonna set the wildlife eye up over here on a big oak beside of it, and maybe we can see how big this buck is, or maybe we can get some good footage of some bucks coming to get them a drink because it's awful hot outside. We had to put out our trail mat cameras, we had to load tree stands in the truck, we had to hang sets, and I think Joe was just a little bit amazed at how much work actually goes into video on these hunts. Man, I tell you what, you talking about miserable bow hunting conditions. It's 88 degrees. Miserable hot. We set a setting the other morning, we got skunked, never seen a deer. So we know these deer have got their winter capes on, they can't handle moving in this heat. So we've got a set here, we hunt next to a pond, and hopefully we can catch something coming in to try to get a drink and get a good clean shot at it. About the 5th deer we've had come into the pond this evening. It's been awful hot. We knew sooner or later we'd get us a good opportunity. But she's right up here on the other side of the bank, and I know we made a good hit on her, so everything's good. Man, it's been hot. It's been in the 80s every day, really not bow hunting weather we're used to. So we knew these deer had to have a drink of water, so we got a water source here behind the house. We decided to hunt the pond. And we knew something would probably be coming in, so we just made our decision before we walked in it. We were going to harvest a doe if we could. And sure enough, right before dark, this gal came in, gave us a good broadside shot, and we elected to take it. And what a great way to start your archery season, and what a great way to help your deer herd at the same time. The next day, midday, I knew the batteries was probably dead on my wildlife eye camera, so I decided to go to the home place pond set where we had taken the doe the evening before to retrieve my camera. See what we got on the wildlife eye. And we got back home, we watched the footage. Oh, that's what we're talking about right there. Look at that. That thing's got a double main beam right there on the left-hand side. And we caught a double main beam 11-point buck on the wildlife eye. So the temperatures were still in the upper 80s, the wind was still out of the southeast. We hadn't messed the pond setup too bad, so we decided to go back. With the conditions the same and the doe needed a drink last night, we're gonna go in here, we're gonna set the dark, and hopefully the double main beam buck will come in for him another drink. Man, I can't believe that. You talking about taking his sweet time getting in. We first seen this buck, he popped in over here on the east side. Something wasn't right, he just didn't want to get a drink of water, so as they always do, he comes down, circles downwind of the pond, almost give me a shot at 25 yards. He comes up to the pond, video camera has probably got a perfect view of it, but there's some brush here and I couldn't get it, and I thought, man, we have lost this deer. All of a sudden, he comes right back down, comes right under the stand, give me an 18-yard quarter-and-away shot, and that is the first deer that I have ever taken on film that I have had footage of on the wildlife eye, and baby, I am pumped, and the 2-year monkey is off my back, and the boy is back in town. What a great way to start your 2005 deer season. Normally I don't get to hunt this early in the season. It was October the 4th, extreme hot conditions. We were fortunate enough that we have a water source on the farm, a pond, and we thought it may be a good evening to go set it. This big dude came in, give us a good 18-yard going away shot. The old Hordex Tech found its mark, and once again, I'm very lucky to be behind such a great animal as this.
You know, I don't know that this particular item would be number 1 on the list, but if it's not, it's close to the top, and that is access. Access to and from a stand location. It is so important and so vital. If a deer picks you off when you're on your way in, chances are that particular animal is not going to walk by your position. So you've got to be very, very careful and very, very discreet in how you access your stand. You know, we use structure a lot, whether it be a deep ravine, a hogback, a creek, a ditch, some sort or method to get into and out of a stand without being located by a particular animal that may be bedded on a hillside overlooking a valley. Access out of that stand is just as important. So if you can't use structure and you're in an open area or an open terrain, a lot of times you can use plantings. We'll go so far as to plant real tall switchgrass and then take that switchgrass and mow a lane through it to or from our stand. I'll tell you what, if you can get in and out of a site without being detected, sometimes that's half the battle.
You know, it could be said that the best access is the tree that you can get to and not allow one deer in the herd to know that you're there. And there are certain situations where that's literally impossible. And there are trees that Terry and I have given up on over the years because we're bumping and doing a deer drive on the way in. And then when you get there, you don't see any deer. There are other trees that we will only visit during certain times of the year, i.e. a bedding area with one tree in the center of it that we can hang in, and we'll only go there during those critical days of the 7th, 8th, and 9th of November. So keep that in the back of your mind. Not every tree has the right access in and out. You may have to give up on a few or only hunt them during a certain part of the year.
Well, Clay and I got a 5-day hunt planned, and it's my turn to drive, so I'm sure Clay's thinking I'm gonna pick him up my pickup truck, but I pull in with the pink car. I like to think it's raspberry colored, but he calls it the pink.
Oh yeah, I'm driving the pink.
I don't hear no complaining. You ready?
Yeah.
I mean, I just hate riding that stupid pink car. We got 2 guys hunting with all our equipment in a pink car. But I will say, usually when we have the pink car, we usually kill something. So it's always a good luck charm for us. I don't know why.
Well, the first evening was pretty uneventful, and that was my evening hunt. And Saturday came up, and Clay was up to bat.
This is a topographical map of our bluff that we hunt. This whole strip in the yellow is all corn. That's all corn this year. This is corn behind our stand. This is actually hay. We've planted our food plot back in this little pocket. It's like a funnel because there's a big block of woods here and a big block of woods here, and this is the only strip of woods that connects these 2 blocks of woods. So what we did is we hung a stand set here on the south side, and we're gonna hunt it with a north wind, with the wind blowing across like this. And hopefully, you know, the deer will be expecting deer to be coming from this bedding area and this bedding area around this point to come up into this food plot. In the beginning of the year, we decided that we were going to try and harvest 4.5 or older deer on this farm. It's been under intense management. You know, we've taken a lot of does out of here. I shot 2 already with my bow. So we're trying to cut down on doe population and harvest only mature deer. Well, my personal goal was 4.5 or older for sure. We decided we were going to hunt that biologic food plot because we got our wildlife eye sitting out there, and we have just an amazing amount of deer on the wildlife eye on the food plot.
We had the wildlife eye sitting for the last 2-3 weeks, and we had 5, 6, maybe 7 different shooters on that one biologic food plot, and it was just getting ripped right up. In my mind, I've never seen that many mature bucks in one small area like that. That food plot must have been an acre, and there was like 5 or 6 mature bucks right in that one food plot.
Well, we had probably 4 or 5 shooters on our wildlife eye on that food plot. I never would have expected that a 4-year-old or older was going to show his face, you know, during daylight hours on October 22nd. It just seemed a little early for them to be just out on a food plot looking for does. Well, partially combined, which is good. Been waiting for this corn to come off. It's 22nd of October. Deer are just starting to run around a little bit, chasing does. The smaller bucks are. The bigger bucks I don't think are moving yet, but this cornfield was giving us a lot of trouble because you're competing with our food plots. So, matter of fact, I think the farmer will be up here combining yet later today. When we went down and took a load down, it'll probably be back up again. So, I don't think it'll affect us much. Hopefully, it'll help us. A lot of times the deer get curious, come out and see what's going on. Just hopefully he's a 4.5. Well, it wasn't too long, and a little doe fawn worked her way out onto the field, and she was just devouring that biologic, and it was just enjoyable just sitting there watching. And she decided she was gonna go back in the woods, so I grabbed my rattling antlers. I had probably a half hour left of shooting light, or 45 minutes, and I grabbed my rattling antlers and tickled them a little bit, and I could not believe about 15 minutes later this buck steps out on the field.
Yeah.
My stomach hurts. That buck came in across this food plot. I can't breathe. My hand's numb. It's a big 8-pointer that we got on our wildlife eye.
So now it's getting dark, and Clay and I decided, you know what? Let's make sure we got nothing to lose. Let's go back to the camper. Let's talk to Clay's dad. Tell him the good news. Review the footage on TV and make sure the shot was as good as I thought it was looking through the viewfinder. Perfect.
It's a little forward, but
perfect.
I hit him right in the shoulder blade, but that should be a good shot. You know, we came back to camp, we ate something, we watched the video, and my dad was here. We got him in and got his opinion of it. And when you watch the video, you can see the arrow go all the way in, and when he turned and kicked it back out, then it just reassured me that the shot was okay. That's lung hit for sure. Look at that. Bubbles. Like to see that.
Good.
Oh, right there he is, Tom. Right there. Oh, crap. Look at the size of that deer.
That's a big deer. That is a big deer.
I think he died running. Look at his legs are out there.
Look at the size of that deer.
Well, Tom and I had planned a 5-day weekend this weekend, and we had left this biologic food plot alone for 2 weeks. We haven't hunted it, leave the pressure off the deer. And when we got back, our goal was if the wind was right, we were gonna get in there and hunt that spot. And sure enough, I mean, there was deer on our wildlife eye like crazy, and this guy stepped out with plenty of shooting light. I never would have imagined he was gonna be on a field, you know, with that light out. You know, a mature deer, he's at least a 4.5 or 5.5-year-old deer, which was our goal in the beginning of the year, and he is just a monster, just a monster. Turned out real good, and I was real happy with that buck. He was a 4.5-year-old or 5.5-year-old deer. He field dressed out at around 220, so it was a pretty nice buck. Tom in his pink car. There, where's it gonna go?
Where's it gonna go? Right in the back of the pink.
October 28th, we were headed to Illinois on our, annual Illinois hunting trip. As the week wore on, we had a few good encounters. We encountered a really nice white-horned 8-point buck. He seen some does in the field and he just kind of kept following them. But it was nice to see a good deer on its feet. We wanted to move some stands and get on that buck.
Don't pump, you know, nothing. Well, we was in here earlier. We moved these stands from one part of this big, piece of timber out to the edge of a bean field. We're just gonna slip on in here, get in these stands. It's cloudy, it's windy, it's been spitting rain off and on, but I think we're gonna have some luck. It's a good night. It's gotta happen sooner or later.
We only had one more day left in the hunt. I was pretty much wore out. We'd been hunting hard all week, and it wasn't 20 minutes after sitting in the stand, some does come into the field.
There's a buck right there. That's a nice buck right there.
He's either gonna follow that doe or come over here, one of the two. You gotta do something. That's good. Hey, look.
He was just paying too much attention to them does, and he followed them into the woods finally. And as soon as he got into the woods, man, I cranked those antlers as hard as I could crank them.
Oh, no, there he comes. Stop, slow.
I know, I didn't move. Yeah, just...
Yeah, buddy, yeah. Yes. Oh, my goodness, Mark. Yes, thank you, Jesus. There he is. Yes. He's down. Yes.
Well, the deer didn't go 100 yards, and he dropped over dead. It was a great day. I was so excited to get my first kill of the year on tape and get it done. It lets a lot of pressure off you when you can finally pull that off. It was a great hunt. I had a good time out there.
This is an absolute epitome of the Illinois deer that you chase. I mean, I live all summer long to chase big deer like this. And I had a week-long trip to come out here to Illinois, where I've been hunting. And, I only had 5 days to pull this off, and we got her pulled off. I mean, I cannot explain to you how exciting it is to work hard, hang stands, and kill a deer. I mean, it's just awesome. It's the most rewarding feeling you can have. I mean, I'm just so passionate about killing these deer and hunting a mature buck and trying to figure deer out. We seen a really nice deer earlier, like yesterday, and we went in to hang stands for that deer on his movement pattern today. We may catch that buck or another buck coming into that field. And I mean, it worked like a charm. It just seems to be one of those things when it's your day, and today was my day. Broken, or weird point. Oh, what character. Look, his beams almost touch. That is just so weird. Just a nice Illinois buck right here. Yeah. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about where we hunt when it comes to morning hunting. As a general rule of thumb, we like to think about where that deer's bedding. That differs a little bit from early season to rut to late season. In the early season, you may have to concentrate on some cool bottom if it's a really hot day that particular day. During the rut, when those daytime highs cool down a little bit and you have those cool frosty mornings, we have a tendency to always pay attention to the thermals, and we hunt high in the overall structure. Now, if it's during the late season, that same type of rule applies, and oftentimes we're concentrating then on a thermal condition where we're going to go on a south-facing hillside or an east-facing hillside to try and take advantage of the sun warming the earth. Now, most of our hunting is done in and around the month of November, and as a general rule of thumb, we're going to hunt structure and we're going to hunt high on that structure. There's a couple reasons. Number one, we want the advantage of consistent wind currents, and number two, we want those thermals taking our scent up into the air. And finally, we find that those bucks oftentimes use that same structure to their advantage, and they use the wind direction to scent check those doe bedding areas on those hogbacks or down in those low areas.
You know, when you're talking about hunting structure high in the morning, there's another determining factor that we really key in on, and that's a barometer. If you have a rising barometer on a crisp, cool morning, those thermals just shoot up into the air, and you don't have to worry too much about your wind. But conversely, if you have a falling barometer that's holding those thermals down, sometimes you really have to be aware of that, regardless whether you're hunting high or hunting low. When those thermals are being pushed down, it doesn't always work. So key in on that as well.
All right, pole trimmer, climbing belt, steps, rapid rails, non-typical. I'm ready to go.
Getting ready to do here is hang a set, and I'm hanging it on the top of this ridge for the thermals. You have a morning, I need a morning set, and I'm above that bottom field is planted in corn and clover plus, and I want to try and catch this movement coming up of a morning. What I'm looking at is trying, number one, I want to try and protect my wind, and I want to be able to shoot the roadway, and I want to be able to shoot this side trail, because if you catch a buck slipping through, he's not going to come waltzing up the road, he's going to stand the security cover. And it's about as narrow gets right here, where you can still shoot these trails or shoot the road, shoot them both. It's where it really necks down or pitches down. There's an old rub right there, so we're on an old rub line. I think I'm gonna hang close to the road up here in one of these trees where I got good shooting to the road and cast my wind of a morning. I'm gonna cast it out over this deep ravine on a high pressure morning. You know, with your thermals going up, it should be good. It should just filter out through that ravine and float on out in the air, in the atmosphere. Well, I finally made up my mind, because the shooting is actually the best right here. Very little trimming. I take out a couple little limbs. Shoot down there, you can shoot to the road, and there's another rub right here on a cedar. Well, we got her hung, and we're still really well hidden. When you do a lot of trimming, it takes them a full season to get used to it, but that's all right. A lot of times we'll hang a set with the intentions of hunting it 2 years later. I've got a wildlife eye right here. I placed it here because I'm between two clover plus fields. This field here is probably 1.5 acres or so, maybe 2 acres. And then I've got another one just on the other side of this timber. And this timber is fairly narrow right through here, so I was predicting a lot of cross traffic between the two fields. As you can see, there's a scrape right here. It's October the 14th. They're just now starting to open these scrapes up. I'm using the wildlife eye to tell me whether or not there's a shooter here in order to decide whether or not to hang. I'm not going to hang here if there's not a shooter using it with regularity. If there is a shooter using it with regularity, then we'll go ahead to try and harvest the deer. I've got a set that's hung, and the tree just went dead. The tree is absolutely dead, and it's getting too scary to stay in that tree. So we're going to pull the set. I'm thinking about moving it across the field on the other side, someplace where the wind's a little better. This tree is close to the base of this hillside. And it's really difficult when you're close to the base of a hill to get the right wind. It's either got to be a straight north or a straight south to blow it up this draw, up this valley.
And if you get anything that's easterly or westerly, it just does this swirling effect in here. So we're going to move out away from the hillside a little bit further, something a little bit safer. I think we're going to go ahead and hang the walnut and plan on hunting this corn. We've been seeing all kinds of deer pour out right here. So I think we're going to hang this tree, even though it's small and we have very little back cover. You have to keep that in mind. Morning versus evening sun. But we don't have much back cover. We're going to try and stay as hidden as we can, take out as few limbs as possible. Today is October 31st, Halloween. We're going to a spot that Brad and I hung earlier in the year, maybe a month and a half ago. And we've hung it on structure. It's real close to a narrow rim. And we're going to cast our wind out either direction because it's a narrow top. So we're going to try it this morning. Thermals are going up. We got high pressure here this morning. We'll see what happens. There's a dove coming up the hill. Such a perfect setup. You talk about it. Hung to kill. This ridge is so narrow. They float this rim right along the top, and we situated this stand to where it's easily accessible, and it's right on this edge. It couldn't have worked any better. Got her. Now, I gotta go the telecheck this year in Missouri. They've eliminated all of the check-in stations. So you gotta call telecheck by 10 p.m. the evening that you harvest the deer and report your information.
First, say your telecheck ID number. Got it. Your telecheck was successful. Get ready to write down your confirmation number. 1A as in Alpha 3292. Would you like to hear your confirmation number again?
Yes.
Here we are, it's October 24th. Clay's got his buck on the ground, and I'm just itching to hang another stand.
Well, our 5-day weekend is looking pretty good. Clay shot a really nice buck Saturday night. It's Monday. We're gonna hang a double set. And here's a spot called the Rye. It's a big shelf. It's actually a horseshoe. We call it a horseshoe. The whole top half of the horseshoe is solid bedding area. So we're gonna get on this side of the horseshoe, right up on top. A lot of times we see bucks working that top area, so we're gonna get in here and hang a stand.
We get in up above this bedding area, what we call a horseshoe, and there's deer bedded within 200 yards of us, I know. We're stumbling around trying to find a tree. He knows that we always hang our sets in the bedding areas in the spring, but he wants to get a stand in there. He figures he's gonna hunt there this year.
This is why you should always hang your stands in the spring. When you're bumbling around, we're 100 yards in the bedding area, but we're trying to be quiet. We don't know where to go. But big oak here, straps ain't even big enough to go around a big oak. We don't want to go any farther that way because that's the bedding area. All the trees up there are twisted.
We're sneaking around in there. We're looking for the perfect tree. Well, we're not going to find the perfect tree, especially not in season. And we finally picked a tree. It looked like a good spot, and we're going to hang.
I would say right here, Clay. About 15 feet up. Goes like that. We'll hang right here and we'll go up here and come off this side. That's a problem when you're hanging 2 stands in the same tree.
Finally, we settle on this one. We don't even know if we can get the stands in it, but we did. And then he's got me climbing this tree to cut this branch off because it's in one of his shooting lanes.
Then when he had it cut down, I actually realized it probably wasn't in my shooting lane, but we actually sat in this stand shortly right after we hung it. I wanted to get a feel of where the deer were gonna be moving since we hadn't hunted there for a while. And wouldn't you know it, we were up in that stand and Clay again seen a deer coming, and it was the albino. He just came through there. What a beautiful animal, just as white as could be. He had a really dark forehead. It must be from rubbing and everything. And he came through. That's a 6.5-year-old buck on his feet, and that was definitely a good sign. The tree stand was in the right spot. Probably could have shot him. Obviously I can't because he's an albino, but what a beautiful morning. So now we're gonna go back in there on November 6th, a week and a half later, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Well, here we are. It's the morning of November 6th, and we're going to start the morning off with the usual ritual.
West-northwest.
Till what time?
All
morning?
I would say all morning. It'll be northwest.
So Clay checked the wind direction on his cell phone. It's going to be a northwest wind for the whole morning. I got my mindset on that stand set that Clay and I set a few weeks back, and I'm ready to go in there.
I'll take up a horseshoe.
Really?
Ryan, at 9 o'clock, I'll be going like this.
You will not.
I got a good feeling about upper horseshoe this morning.
Oh, it's good someone's got that feeling.
They're giving me jabs, and I can't help it, but I feel so good. I have to tell them that I'm going to be holding the buck by 9 o'clock this morning, so we'll see what happens.
Got heavy frost this morning. That's a lot nicer than holding choke out. This is nice. Pretty excited about this morning's hunt. It's November 6th. We got a northwest wind. It's calm today. It's supposed to maybe get a little bit breezy, but we've had overcast last couple days. And we got some heavy frost this morning. We're going into a stand that Clay and I hung right after he killed his buck a couple weeks ago. So we're gonna slip in here in a northwest wind. The stand's on the downwind side of a bedding area. Last time we were in here, we snuck in. We saw the albino in here. I think today's gonna be better though. November 6th, I think they're gonna be a little bit closer. Does coming in heat. Hopefully there'll be some chasing activity or something in there this morning. Looking forward to it.
We got 2 camera angles going to be going this morning. We're ready to go. Now all it's going to take is a hot doe or a buck cruising that downwind side of that bedding area, and it's going to happen this morning. I got a really good feeling.
I got a bunch of layers of clothes on today, so it's gonna be cold, but with any luck, we'll get some deer on their feet and we'll get one today.
Clay's been battling this really bad cough. He starts hacking up a little bit and coughing. I'm thinking, oh, here we go again. And I'm thinking, as long as it doesn't happen here at prime time, and he just gets done coughing, I kind of turn, look in my direction, and he says, Tom, there's a buck running right at us. I think she's chasing a doe.
He just went down. Oh. He just went down, Clay. Oh. Boy, that happened fast. Clay said there was a deer running. saw was the doe. That's all Clay saw was the buck. He said, grunt at it or something. I said, no. I said, there's a doe coming. Well, he gave me an easy shot. I think he saw me draw, huh, Clay? I don't know, because he kind of looked up here. I'm like, boy, I hope he doesn't make me wait. He ran over there, and I seen him kind of going like this, and he fell down. Oh, we did it. November 6th, Clay.
It happened, November 6th. I couldn't believe it was the stand set we had hung a couple weeks back. It ended up being in the perfect spot. What a great morning hunt. You know, now I'm actually getting hot. The sun is starting to come out. I got to strip down some of that clothes. I'm really starting to sweat and everything. I think with the excitement and everything, my heart was still pounding. So I climbed down, Clay climbs down, and it's going to be a short track job. I saw him tip over, but we're going to follow up the blood trail anyways. It wasn't long, and I kind of looked up over the hill a little bit, and there he was laying. I could just see his main beam sticking up, and
there he is.
I run over there, and it was a beautiful buck. As soon as I ran up to it, I did recognize, though, that it was a 3-year-old deer. Just a beautiful morning hunt, though. It was a 3-year-old deer, and my heart was still pounding. So even though I set out this year to shoot a 4.5-year-old buck, he was a 3-year-old, but nevertheless, what a great morning hunt. Well, here we are, November 6th. We had a morning hunt. I couldn't wait to get out in the woods this morning. I had a really good feeling. We had a northwest wind. I was waiting to sit this spot that we called the upper horseshoe, and we weren't in there very long, and Clay's coughing started to act up on us, and it must have been about 8 o'clock, right when I consider it to be prime time. And he just got done coughing, and he said, Tom, there's a doe coming up here. It's running hard. He saw this buck coming. I had a real quick look at it. I aged it at 4.5 right when I saw the animal. He come in, he gave me a real easy shot. I think at one point he busted me. He kind of looked up. I made a real good shot on him, and I seen him drop about 40 or 50 yards. He is a 3.5. I thought I was going to be shooting a 4.5 when I aged him, but we had a great hunt. I don't regret taking the shot. You know, we do our best with quality deer management to harvest 4.5s and older, but just an outstanding day, and I wouldn't change anything for the world.
Oh, there went pink.
Oh, that's bad.
That is bad. No, we gotta have that. That's what holds them on.
Not this time.
Oh no, the pink.
I don't think that'll go anywhere, Clay. Well, we get my buck loaded on the back of my car, and it dawned on me that there was a connection between the buck Clay had killed and the buck I killed. My pink car, I mean my raspberry car. Well, here we are. See, lights are on upstairs, so hopefully no one went to sleep yet. I got something to show you guys.
What?
What do you think?
What? Block?
Maybe.
Nuh-uh.
Let's go look.
Are you serious? Yes!
What a great morning hunt.
You know, earlier you heard Mark talk a little bit about hunting high in the morning. Well, conversely, we like to hunt low of an evening. Those thermals have a tendency to slide down a hillside as the earth begins to cool and those temperatures start to drop. And we do that for a reason. I think deer have a natural migration tendency to bed on a hillside of a day and then feed out in towards those bottom fields of an evening. So we like to use that access that we talked about earlier, try and slip into a stand and hunt low of an evening to kind of guard ourselves from those sliding thermals.
You know, in theory, when we go out of an evening, we generally make a determination whether we're going to hunt grain if it's cold or green if it's a little bit warm. Sometimes those fields are down in those bottoms and the thermals will work to push your scent down and away. But what happens if you only have one opportunity for a food plot and it's up on a ridge? We like to make sure that when we must plant on a ridge and hunt that food source of an evening, we're putting our wind out over something where there are very few deer, if any at all, that are going to get your wind, because you never want to allow any deer in the herd to catch your wind or thermal, because if you do, they'll blow the entire herd and they'll domino all those mature bucks back. One other thing that you can do is move off of the food source and try and catch those deer on the trails that enter the food source, although access becomes a little bit more tricky in that situation.
Well, it's November the 5th. The rut's starting to pop. Things are really picking up here in Iowa on Mark's farm. I got to jump in one of my favorite sets on Mark's farm, the 178 set. That's where I shot a deer last year, and I couldn't wait to get into that stand. We have a very similar set of weather conditions as we did 1 year ago when I shot my 178. Well, as luck would have it, we see a 4.5-year-old that wouldn't have scored much, but if he'd have got within bow range, we'd have had to try him.
It's pretty cool.
Wasn't long, another buck, a 3.5-year-old 140-inch deer came out. He checked every doe in the field, which I thought was rather unique. You know, right now, November the 5th, they're really looking, starting to feel their oats. They know there's estrus in the air, and they're just trying to pick up those first available does.
He's got a little attitude on him. Real pretty 3-year-old. Beautiful deer. Another year or so, he's gonna be a gem, Danny.
Well, we watched him just kind of feed away, and wasn't long we had another deer.
I can't tell if he's 2 or 3. I think he's 3. No, he might be 2. Looks like a 2.5-year-old. He's coming this way.
Beautiful encounter, beautiful buck, great evening. I'll tell you what, when you sit that particular set, you know you're in for a great night.
There's no better feeling in the world than pulling up to the gate of your hunting farm and just wanting to get out so bad and unlock that gate and get to your cabin and just get the ball rolling here. It's the right time of the year, and I mean, we just couldn't wait to get going. There she is, big boy. What do you think about that new cooler?
I'm ready to get a buck in it.
Yeah, I hope we use it this week.
I remember that morning we were sitting around listening to the weather radio talking about where we were going to go. And boy, did Keith's eyes light up when I told him we were going to go to that particular set where I had harvested my largest deer 2 years ago.
Where we going?
Where I killed my deer that day that you filmed me.
I was hoping you'd say that.
That's where we're going.
I love that spot.
All right. No one's been in that tree yet.
I know.
This will be good. Perfect.
I couldn't have been more excited when we decided that that's where we were going. We knew there's some big deer living in that area. We had great wildlife eye footage and trail camera photos of some good deer in that area. Well, heading to the truck this morning for our first what I call real morning hunt. It's the right time of year. We've got a wind to go to a tree that Rod killed his big deer in a couple years ago, so pretty fired up this morning. See what happens. November the 6th. I think the rut's just starting to kick in pretty good. We've been seeing some small bucks on their feet. We're in one of our most favorite stands. I mean, this thing's basically bulletproof. We're hunting up over a real high bluff with a creek down below us here. The wind's blowing right in our face and out over this bluff. So, I mean, there's no way they can get downwind of us. So, hopefully we've got a big boy that decides to come our way and presents us with a shot here today. Right, here comes a deer coming down the point. It's got a big body on it. Shooter buck, shooter buck. say. I don't know what to say. My son, Adam, swore to me I was gonna kill that deer. He said that was gonna be my buck. Oh, he's laying right up here about 60 yards away. He went down. I'm excited.
Give me this guy, man. I'll tell you about this.
Oh man, here it came. I mean, I'm sitting here like, oh no, buck coming down the fence. Oh, at first I didn't know if it was a shooter or not, and he got in here, and I mean, he turned, and we're like, whoa, that is a neat specimen. I can't wait to walk up on this deer. Oh my God. That's awesome. Well,
we were just saying we can't wait to get one laying in that
in the cooler. And here comes a deer down the fence row. Oh, well, now the work starts, but it's a fun work. Once that deer went down and I knew I'd harvested him, I couldn't control myself. I couldn't speak even. I was so excited. It was a great feeling.
It's moments after Keith has just shot his buck and we see it fall, you know, not 60 yards from the stand. I look up and see two more deer milling around. Keith throws his binoculars up and says, hey, one of them's a nice buck, and hands me his bow because it was heading down the ridge right toward us, the same path that the deer that Keith shot was on. Even though it turned out not to be a shooter, it was a really beautiful 2-year-old, and it was exciting nonetheless, all this action happening all at one time.
What a story this is. I'm standing here holding Keith's bow. We just saw this beautiful 2-year-old grunted. He got down here about 40 yards and didn't like the situation, but he's got locked up because he's seeing the deer that Keith just shot is laying right over on the other side of the hill from him, and he kept seeing him. What an interesting morning this is. I got to get behind this camera so we can go see your deer, man.
I tell you what was so neat for me this year, you know, besides killing an awesome buck, it was how my family was supporting me and standing behind me the whole time. My daughter Kayla, she's 11 years old. She saved her own money to buy me this beautiful pocket watch with a picture of a deer on it just to bring me good luck. Things like that are just so special to, especially a father, when your children and your wife are there to support you. It makes it a lot easier and fun to go out and enjoy the sport of deer hunting. These are the kind of track deals you like when you can see your deer go down from the stand. There's no question about it. He's laying right up here. Let's go see what we got. Walking up on a deer like that after you harvest him is just, there's no greater feeling in the world. I just couldn't believe it when I walked up on this deer. He was just so neat with that double main beam on the right side. Just going to be a unique animal to have on the wall.
I told you this was your year. I told you. I knew this was going to be your year. I didn't know you were going to get something this interesting and this big, but I'm glad you did.
Yep, you called it, and I mean, you stuck with me. You haven't hunted yet. You filmed me this whole time. You told me you're going to stick by my side till I killed one. I imagine you're pretty happy now because you can start hunting.
Well, I have ulterior motives.
Yeah, I knew you did.
I'm ready to go, man.
This is awesome. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
After killing that deer, I just could not wait to get to the phone and call home and tell my family about it. Like I said before, they were all pulling for me so much. I just wanted to include them in every moment. We're gonna go get him out right now, guys. And Adam, like I said, you called it. You called it, and Kayla, you gave me the good luck charm. Love you, Kayla. Thank you. And Susie, thank you. When I called Susie, I'll never forget. She was so excited for me. She actually started crying on the phone. And that goes a long way. That just made me feel so good. Well, just go ahead and cry. I'm glad you're that happy for me because, man, that means a lot.
It was so much fun getting that buck back to camp. That first buck of the year, the first big buck on the ground is always exciting.
First buck in our new walk-in cooler. You gotta love it. It's a good one to start with.
That's a really good one to start with.
Let's put another one in there. What do you say?
Tonight. It was just a great morning in the deer camp.
You know, as you evolve as a hunter, you learn certain techniques that make you better year in and year out. One of the techniques that Terry and I key in on is planting to a specific tree. And by that I mean, we won't go out and just put food in any random location at all. we will absolutely monitor, observe, and try and figure out exactly where these deer are coming out, where they're bedding, where they like to feed, and we will actually pick the tree before we'll ever plant the food plot. We like to plant to a tree. We call it food plot architecture, in that we will go to a low area perhaps for an evening type stand. We'll pick the tree, we'll know where our wind direction is going to go, we're going to know how we're getting into it and how we're getting out of it without spooking any of the deer off the field, and then we will plant to that tree. We will also try to create funnels so that when the deer come into the field, they have to come past that tree, or perhaps it's a tree that they're going to walk past on their way to food. So always pick the tree first and then plant to that tree, and I think your success rate's going to soar.
You know, after you've picked that perfect tree and you've decided to plant to it, we'll take that even one step further by using our plantings to create inside or outside corners. Whether we're using corn and or biologic, corn, beans, something that gives you a little bit of difference in elevation. The corn obviously is much taller than the beans or the biologic, but you can create an inside or outside corner where they like to enter into a field. And we've done it time and time again, where the corn will stop and the beans or biologic will start right there at the base of the tree.
Going into the season, I was really pumped up this year. We really did a lot of work with my stands. We put in some beautiful food plots, made some great corn trails and trails through the woods. I like to pick a stand that I know I can enhance and make it even a better stand. One of my favorite things to do is create trails that lead deer right to where I want them, right in front of my tree stand. A corn chute should only be made with the farmer's consent. A corn chute 3 feet wide by 100 yards long, cost the farmer about $10 in crop loss. You'd be amazed at what happens after you do it. It's just incredible. On November 6th, Eric and I were hunting, and a buck pops out, and I couldn't believe it. He was a velvet buck. November 6th, a full 130, 40-inch velvet buck, but I just couldn't shoot him. I wanted to learn more about this buck, and what I did find out is that he has absolutely no sexual drive. So this buck is going to stay in the area. We'll have to keep an eye on this buck.
November 12th. On the stand 5 minutes, we got game moving. Nice buck, turkeys. Something's gonna happen tonight. We're sitting on a biologic field. Lots of big tracks on the way. Looks really good. Holy mackerel, that was awesome. What a nice buck, big 10-pointer. I don't know, mid 140s. I get really excited. Anybody that's hunted with me knows I get really excited. Woo.
Well, here it is, November 12th. Hunting with Eric Rover tonight, and we've been hunting really hard. We got a weather front coming in. It's starting to rain as we speak. I think this is the buck that we had the other morning out in the field. He was chasing around out there, bird dogging the old doe trail, and that was just yesterday morning. So I knew he was in the area. When I reviewed the video from yesterday, I said if I get a crack at that guy, I'll take him, and sure enough, the next night, here he is. And we did it. Awesome.
We're in Missouri. It's the first part of November. It seems a little bit like the big boys are locked down. We got word from Joe Schultz and Mark Luster that they're really doing it in Illinois. We're gonna pull up stakes and head east.
The decoy is working great in Missouri. Had lots of encounters with 2.5s. Decoys going in the back of the truck. We're taking it to Illinois. We're gonna hunt on a cut cornfield. Me and Jared's up to our usual tricks again. We're having no luck except bad luck. Booty and Irish, they go get their haircuts. Franzen wears these purple pink underwear. We're going to Hooters and change our luck.
Instead of McDonald's or Steak and Shake or Hardee's or whatever the case may be, we're gonna have a sit-down lunch. Hey, if it doesn't change our luck, at least we had a very good meal.
We're redefining crazy or insane. I think Rodney and I call it passionate. It's November 11th. I hung stands all summer long and we're still doing it, but that's what it takes to get on these big deer. We feel like the deer aren't moving. Well, at least they're not moving where we're sitting in a tree. So we're going to a new farm, hang a new set where we can overlook a great big bottom field. The cornfield just got cut 2 to 3 days ago.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever hung a stand in my life, and boy, I am sure anticipating this hunt.
Well, it's November the 12th. We're hunting on a cut cornfield in a bottom. We got the decoy out. We brought in some lunch. We're going to try to sit here all day. Hopefully the movement's good. And, you know, we don't know. The rut's been kind of crazy, so we're trying to get kind of crazy, trying to make some luck happen, and hopefully we'll get some. That's some cool stuff right there. Them deer are flat getting with it. They ain't very big, man, that's cool.
Well, the deer are up on their feet just like we were hoping.
We've got the decoy out. We can see forever for an archery set. Do a little calling, grunting, see what happens.
Just a little bit too young, but man, I think we're in an awesome spot. We're gonna probably sit here all day today. It's rocking so far.
He's just a year too young and a shade too small, but it's exciting. We're just gonna sit tight and hunt all day and hope for the best.
I'm getting ready to have my lunch of the champions of deer hunting. We're having a Lunchable.
If there's one thing about Rod and I, we're persistent. We're gonna sit in the tree all day and just see what happens.
Tastes like steak.
That's what we work for right there. You know, we've been kind of making our season as, you know, the tribulations, all the bad luck we've been having, trying to do, changing our shirts, changing what we've been eating, you know, it's changing our hats, wearing matching shirts and hats. Yeah. Sometimes to change your luck, it's putting in the hard work. You can make your own luck by doing hard work. And we did it tonight. Good job, baby. This is the kind of trail job we like right here. He's laying up there on top of the hill, but don't get any better than that. There he is right there. Oh my. Well, this is accumulation of 365 days of hard work right here. We come over to Illinois yesterday. It was 70 degrees. We decided not to hunt. We came in, hung the stand, put out the decoy, sprayed them all down, got ready for a long day in the stand. We work hard, we make our own luck. No matter if we got to go to Hooters and eat. We are so superstitious, but this is proof in the pudding right here that we made our own luck today.
You know, picking that perfect tree is one thing, but hanging a set is totally another. Because Mark is a right-handed shooter and I'm a left-handed shooter, we always have to take into consideration which direction we want that stand to face. And it's vastly different as different shooters. If you have a particular trail that you're planning to shoot to, whether it's 10, 15, 25 yards from your tree, you really have to know, are the shooting lanes clear? Is it, do you have a vertical window? And the only way to detect that is to actually hang the stand, climb up in that stand, and then go through the motions and pretend that you have a deer at point blank range and you're gonna draw the bow. If you are a left-handed or right-handed shooter, and you have the stand in the wrong position, and you have to turn around on that stand and face the tree or get your bow between you and the tree to make that turn, that's movement that can go detected, and that's something you do not want. So always be cautious of that. Even though it may be easier to hang in one particular spot than it is another, always be conscious that you're either a left-handed or right-handed shooter. Hang the set and go through the motions to make sure that you have a vertical window to that particular trail.
Terry and I literally cut our teeth at 18 to 20 feet off of the ground hunting white-tailed deer. And I can think of hundreds of times literally where we would find the perfect spot where all the sign came together and we said, man, we wish we had a tree here, and then there was no tree that was hangable, so we would just move on and try and find the next spot. Well, not anymore. We're entering a whole new chapter in the fact that we're starting to put ground blinds in those spots. 2 tips when it comes to ground blinds. Number 1, get it in early, allow those deer to get used to it, and number 2, brush it in and then brush it in again. If you can brush that blind in, let them get used to it, they could care less about them, and no longer do you have to worry about having a tree in that perfect spot. Put a ground blind in, they really work well.
Hey, old Chris, he's one of my best friends and I love him to death, and man, you know, he's as tight as they come, old boy, I'm telling you he is. But you know, all late summer and fall long, you know, the price of gas just kept going up and up and up and creeping up. I tell you, it was driving poor old Chris crazy. I didn't know if he's gonna make it or not.
Just keeps going up and up and up.
What are you gonna do when we go to Kansas?
I have no idea. I got some ideas though. I'm playing around on that little motorcycle. Who shows up? Johnny Long.
Do you know it's against law to ride a weed eater on the driveway, highway?
I do now.
How fast are you going anyway?
About 5.
Leave it to Chris, man. I tell you what, that old boy, I tell you, he said he was gonna show up in something that had better gas mileage. By golly, he did.
Well, all kidding aside, it's time to go. Time to hit the road, time to pack up. Told Eric to meet me at my house. We got everything finally loaded up into the vehicle, and I tell you, it was packed full. On our way to Kansas, 16 hours.
16 hours seems like a long time, but you're not gonna get me on an airplane. And you know, every year we always leave right before dark, and You know, as we're going and it's getting later and later in the evening and finally we get into the nighttime, Chris and I drive all night long to get to Kansas.
You know, every year we talk about it, going out to Kansas, it is a long drive. It's 16 hours and, you know, you drive all night long, but it gives us a lot to talk about and catch up on. You know, it's a long, long drive, but we always look forward to it. It's a fun trip.
I tell you what, man, when the sun's coming up over the horizon next morning, here we go, Kansas.
Well, it's almost 8 o'clock a.m. I drove all night. Eric slept all night. And boy, it's time to get to work. We're gonna hit the farm, hang some sets, sit back tonight and just observe, and ready to hit it first thing in the morning.
I'll tell you what, here we are. We're in Kansas. We're going in and just easing into a little pinch point that's right on next to a bedding area. We're gonna set our wildlife eyes out, let them do a lot of the work, see what we got. Well, we just set our wildlife eyes out. We come all the way from Virginia, so we're gonna use these things to tell us what we got to hunt. We've been seeing some awesome sign, and I tell you what, I don't know what we've got to hunt here, but it's got to be pretty big.
So we put these wildlife eyes out to kind of give us an idea of what we're gonna have to hunt, and boy, were we surprised.
He's probably shooting. Oh my gosh. Good grief. I think you should shoot that 3.5-year-old before that one. Save that one for gun season.
I probably will.
We got that giant on wildlife eye. Chris just checked it. So now we're trying to figure out where we're gonna hang. The problem is, it's just gonna be long range, everything we hang, but there's only 2 trees we can hang in for Chris for a bow, but I think we need to go down there, way down that other end.
We've already got us thinking about it.
By the way, that stand down there, the landowner calls that the stairway to heaven. It's been here for 20 years. Guess we could go back to old school and go here in these hay bales.
Push this straight over. It's gonna be instant ground ball. But I can't push it by myself.
I'll tell you what.
Won't you help?
2, 3, 4, 1. Thank God I helped you push it.
With very minimal help from Eric. I got this round bale moved. Food plot's here. Bedding area's behind that. Deer come out, got a shot here, shot here, shot here. Perfect.
So the other option we had to do was to get real aggressive, and because of the wildlife eye footage we're getting, we snuck into some security cover, got super high in the tree. All we had to do now, wait for the right wind.
Well, we're on our 3rd day of our Kansas trip, and we've been stuck in a motel room all day. We've got tornado watch. The clouds are dark, the winds are picking up. I think it's on its way, so. The week outlook, though, looks like it's gonna straighten up in a couple of days. But it's not good for today. Looks like we're heading right into the hornet's nest.
Lo and behold, at 4:30, we go by, check this set from about 200 yards off. You wouldn't believe it, but there stands a giant 9, 20 yards in front of the hay bale blind, and we're sitting in a vehicle. Let's go, go.
That's that giant deer we got on a wildlife eye yesterday. He's standing 25 yards from that hay bale blind that we made yesterday. 25 yards. And because of these tornado warnings, we couldn't get in here in time. It's been pouring the rain, high winds. It's 4:52. Always a day late and a dollar short.
It's all right, we got 9 days yet.
25 yards. I tell you, last night, the temperature just plummeted, the winds are high. We froze this morning in the stand. We're going to that set this evening where we made that blind out of the hay bales. Finally, we have the perfect wind for this ground blind, the perfect weather. We go in, it's actually calling for snow. We get into this ground blind and immediately it starts snowing on and off all night long. First deer that walks into the food plot is this big 8 we've got all this wildlife eye footage of. Well, I'm 60 yards away from the deer. I've got a bow tag. There's not much I can do at 60 yards. He just ended up walking out.
You know, we sat there the rest of the night, saw a ton of deer. We actually had a giant 6-point come out and gave us some awesome footage. And the cool thing was, the whole time that we're hunting these 2 deer, the wildlife eye's filming both of them. I mean, that was just a phenomenal evening. Chris has got one more day. The next morning, got a northwest wind. It's gonna be cold. We're going into security cover.
Here it is, November 29th. Eric and I, we've been hunting so hard for 5 days. Eric's up to bat tomorrow, so I've got to get it done today. Last night we had a light skip of snow. We're going in tight, security cover. Hopefully we can get a big buck on us. Who knows, we'll see what happens. Please, Lord, let something good happen for me for one time.
Maybe it will there, little buddy.
I doubt it. What we're gonna do, we set up a set in this security cover a couple days ago. We let it rest. We're gonna go in this morning. We had a light skip of snow. The ground's covered. This is a travel area between bedding and feeding, so hopefully we can catch these bucks on their feet, heading either to the bedding or to the feeding. So not much good's happened in the last 5 days. Hopefully something good will happen today. Well, we get in there, everything's kind of slow. We look up, here's a big 6-pointer chasing a doe up above us. Just didn't provide a shot opportunity, not really the deer I came to Kansas for. Wasn't about an hour later, we look up, here comes this huge 8-pointer we've got all this footage of. He's down 50 yards. Yes. 16 hours from Virginia. That's my Kansas buck, and he is down right there, man. Right there. Yeah, baby.
Give me some.
5 days Eric stepped behind that
Good
camera.
man.
I don't know if I'm a man or not, but that is.
You smacked him.
This is the last day. Eric's rifle season starts tomorrow, so I was gonna be behind that camera, so I had to get it done. So we came back in here, and I just smoked him, baby, right there. Whew. Man, I laid the shot to him. It was a perfect shot. He goes. I actually saw him fall from a stand. Cannot wait to get my hands on this deer. It's the deer we've been hunting for. And so the story continues. We just got this buck out of the woods. The weather's already changing again. 2 days ago, we had tornadoes touch down around us. We had horrible weather. The temperatures just plummeted the last couple of days, high winds. We drove all the way from Virginia to Kansas. We look forward to it every year. The first night here, we put our wildlife eyes out, and boy, they did the job for us. We got some phenomenal footage of some great bucks. Lo and behold, we got this buck chasing a doe right across in front of the wildlife eye. So we were excited about our hunt. We knew we had to get some sets hung in some security cover. We did build a ground blind, got in there last night. It was a beautiful encounter. It was pouring the snow. This buck comes in. It was about 60 yards out. It was just too far for a bow. This morning we snuck in there, got in tight on some security cover, and he came right in, offered me about a 15-yard shot, and he was down within 50. I tell you, it's my first bow buck on film, and it's my biggest bow buck to date, so it's a really, really special day for me.
You know, it's a long way out here to Kansas. We drive all night long, but I love getting out here. You know, you leave home and, you know, you think you're leaving home, but really, for me and Chris, it's like coming out here to our second home. I mean, it's small town America. I love it out here. It's a great place to hunt big bucks. I mean, life is slow, but it's steady, and all the people out here that are hardworking, and I tell you, I can't never wait to get in the tree stand and chase these big bucks. Well, I tell you, in the last 5 days, it's been phenomenal at the wildlife eye footage we've been getting. We'd gotten a huge 8-pointer that Chris has been lucky enough. He killed this deer, this big 8-pointer being in wildlife eye footage. We've still got an absolute giant 9 that we're out here hunting. But there's also a couple other bucks that we've been getting. We've got a couple of real good 4-year-olds. One of them's a real nice 9-point. Looks like he's in the 140s. And you know, we're a little bit lucky this year in the fact that we got to get here early, and we got to kind of see what the deer were doing between the wildlife eye and Chris bow hunting. Last year I killed an absolute awesome buck off my funnel the first day in that set. And you know, this year, you know, things are a little different. We need to be a little bit tighter in security cover, so Chris and I knew that we needed to go in and move my set down further. It's a transition area off these food plots where we're getting a lot of wildlife eye footage, and Basically, the way my funnel works is we've got a pond that serves as a funnel, and there's timber that wraps around that pond, and they have to funnel through it on one side to get from the food plots to their bedding area. So we got up on a good high point down in the security cover, and you know, it was one of those sets when we got up in it, I knew without a shadow of doubt it was the place to be. Chris has got his buck down. We've moved over to deer camp. Our good friend Terry Edwards and his buddy Ricky Edwards is rolling into camp. I can't wait to show them some wildlife eye footage.
There's about 5 really, really big shooters on the farm this year that we've seen on the wildlife eye. And I'm not saying there's not more, but we know of 5. So
let's see the wildlife eye footage.
We've got a couple of 6-pointers picked out for Ricky already.
Oh yeah, yeah. Half rat.
Yeah.
Put my name on him.
Put your name on him. Well, if anybody's lucky enough, Terry, it'll probably be you. Knowing you. But he's an absolute giant.
We ain't in Virginia anymore, Toto.
I'm not gonna miss him mountain bucks, so y'all. No. Here we go. It's November 30th. Weather's perfect. High pressure. Northwest wind. It's 19 degrees. Hey, we're going to my super funnel.
If you're going hunting with me, you gotta get up now.
I'm coming here.
You'd think a man that's got a rifle tag in Kansas could get out of bed in the morning. It was all I could do to get him out.
Well, it's November the 30th, and it's the first day of gun season. Chris has already got his big deer on the ground. It's a giant 8-pointer. We worked hard for that deer.
Giant 8-pointer.
That's what I said.
Oh, yeah. Well, as usual, we're late. Eric's in a hurry. We finally get to the farm. We get out. We're getting all of our clothes on, getting the rifle ready. I'm trying to get some footage with the night shots. Eric's saying, come on, let's get in the tree. You know, it's funny. Eric's been hiding this funnel from me this whole 5 days that I've been bow hunting. Wonder if he's trying to hide it from me for a reason.
We're sitting there in the stand. You know, we hadn't been in the stand that long that morning. I was sitting there and I was actually watching a beautiful little 2.5-yard 8-point right behind the tree stand. And you know, Chris is filming him, and it's just a beautiful morning. And all of a sudden, all I could hear was deer running. I look around, and there's this beautiful buck come flying in. I don't know what to say. He just ran in, he was running does. He just come blasting in right here. 15 yards. Usually I get so excited, man, emotional, I never know what I'm gonna say. And this morning it just, for once I finally shut up, I guess. You know, I was sitting here this morning, I was kind of reminiscing about last year and being on dream season. And, you know, Chris and I got the opportunity to be in the competition, and man, it's something you dream about. You know, kids dream about being football players or baseball players. Well, Chris and I dream about being, you know, a hunter, a professional hunter. And, you know, dream season last year, man, the friends that we made last a lifetime. I'll tell you what, I couldn't be happier. Here I am, I'm in Kansas, I'm in my favorite funnel. Last year I killed an absolute awesome buck. The first couple of days we're here in Kansas. This year, here I sit, found another awesome trophy. I could not wait to get my hands on it. Man, what an unbelievable morning. We came in here this morning, it's 19 degrees, November 30th, Kansas gun opener. And I tell you, this frost on his forehead just tells you what kind of morning we've had. We weren't in the stand 45 minutes and in this tight security cover. And I'm gonna tell you what, this deer came in burning the doe up. He came in from behind us and he ran right under the tree. And it was one of those situations where, you know, as a hunter, you got to make that decision. And I didn't hesitate. I mean, I knew he was a really good deer, fully mature deer, and that's what we're after. And, oh, here I sat behind an absolute giant Kansas buck. I couldn't be any happier.
Well, we finally get Eric's deer up there. I go get the vehicle. We're getting him loaded up, finally get him out of there. You know, the last couple of days has just absolutely been a dream season. I got my buck yesterday with a bow. Eric took his big buck this morning with a rifle. And you know, our good friend Terry's up to bat now. And wouldn't you know, that lucky dog, he's still got the biggest buck on the farm to hunt.
Well, you know, Terry is one of these guys. He's a farmer, him and his dad both, and he works, I mean, bloody works all the time. 7 days a week, Terry's a cattle farmer, man. You know where to find him. He's always working. And you know, hunting's just a pressure release for him like it is for anybody else. And you know, when we go to that Kansas farm every year, we have an absolute ball. Last year we filmed Terry kill his first video buck on film. It was his best 8-point ever. It was an awesome buck for Dream Season 2. This year, can't wait to see if we can't get him another buck on film.
Well, here we go. It's December the 1st. We're heading to a set. We've been patterned in this absolutely giant 9-pointer. Got him all over the Wildlife Eye. Eric and I have already tagged out. So our good friend Terry's with us tonight, and it seems like everything's just perfect for him. We've got a high pressure system pushing through. The wind is finally right. All the conditions are perfect. So we're gonna head in there tonight. Temperature cooled down, it's about 36 degrees. Hopefully we can get in there and get that giant to come out tonight. We came to this set yesterday, and the wind, once we got up in the stand, the wind started shifting and we got busted immediately. So we got out of there, left it alone, and we're gonna head back in there tonight. So hopefully the wind right now is perfect for this set, so hopefully we can move in here and get that big buck out here. So I don't know, I think it was a smart thing to do last night.
You know, this is one of those situations when you're hunting a giant deer, the Wildlife Eye told us, hey, he's here. You know, we didn't have any trees to hang a stand in. The hay bale blinds that we tried to build, they didn't work. The only thing we had was an old stand that the farmer that owns this land called the Stairway to Heaven. It's an old set of steps that went up to the back of a carnation plant. No doubt about it, man, we were gonna make it happen. That's the only choice we had. You know, we're sitting there, the evening's actually kind of slow, but about 4:30, a couple does enter the field, and out of nowhere, I look back, Chris is motioning to Terry, and his eyes are huge. I knew that he was probably looking at something really big. It's the giant 9. The problem is I can't film over Terry's shoulder because it'd be too much movement, the deer could skyline us. So I'm actually on the floor of this old platform, and I'm trying to film this deer through his legs.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the big 9, baby. That's the one we're after.
Oh, man.
What a deer.
What do you say about that?
We came in here
It makes it tore up.
7 days ago, put our Wildlife Eyes up in that corner, 200 yards away. We got all kinds of footage of this buck, all kinds of footage. Terry rolls into camp 2 days ago. We told him he was gonna be on this field. It happened.
He's good.
I'd say.
He's good.
I would say. You know, one of Eric and I's greatest passion is obviously deer hunting, and Terry is the same way. He's a great friend of ours, and you know, we were all three on that hunt. We were sitting in the same stand, and even though Eric and I didn't pull the trigger, we felt like we were as much a part of it as Terry was. I tell you, it was an unbelievable moment. What a continuation to our Kansas trip. Eric and I roll in here to our lease about 7 days ago. I had a bow tag. 2 days ago, I got my buck. Eric got his buck yesterday with the rifle. We zeroed in on this buck. Our good friend Terry, who comes up here with us every year, come to deer camp 2 days ago, and we told Terry this deer was in here. He zeroed in on this deer.
The Wildlife Eye told the story. Told us where he was at, what time he was coming in. All we had to do was be here.
It's an unbelievable deer. It's the biggest deer I've ever seen, probably Terry's biggest buck, and I know for a fact it's your biggest buck on film.
Oh,
Unbelievable deer, Terry.
You know, what better way to cap off one of the best evenings I've ever sat with my friends and an evening deer hunting than the sunset that we saw after we took this deer. The next morning we got up bright and early. We dragged the big guy out there, got him out in the field, and I snapped off a bunch of quick pictures, and that's what it's all about. In the last 3 days, The 3 bucks that we were fortunate enough to kill out here in Kansas was just, it was phenomenal. And it's one of the best trips I've ever had in my life. And you know, it's something I'll never forget.
You know, we've talked about access, we've talked about hanging high, hanging low, the perfect tree, planting to a specific tree. What about when you go in to pick a particular spot, particularly as a bow hunter? You're in a 20-yard game in that situation. How do you get that deer within 20 yards of that particular tree and finding that tree? Well, for us, it's always about funnels, whether that funnel comes in the shape or form of a saddle in a ridge, a fence jump or a low fence jump, a creek crossing where the water's low, or it could be a crack in the ground that pushes those deer up to the top of the ridge. There are a lot of different things that can funnel deer past your stand, and we really key in on all those different opportunities so that we can get that deer within 20 yards. Funnels are a huge key to why we get deer within bow range of those cameras.
You know, in addition to those funnels that Mark was talking about, we'll take into consideration if that particular funnel is a travel corridor that a buck might be using during that pre-rut, when he's prowling, when he's out looking, or if it's close to a bedding area where you may want to go when it's the peak of the rut. A lot of times when those bucks lock down with does, they're in a remote or a secluded bedding area that may be away from those funnels and those travel corridors that you were so accustomed to seeing them day after day. So take that into consideration.
We put in for gun tags this year, and actually we're both fortunate enough to draw, so we knew we were off to Kansas come fall.
The license came for Kansas, and I looked at the dates, and there was an early muzzleloader, and there was a late gun season.
3:30 a.m. Time to roll to Kansas. All right, I think we're ready to go. A couple more bags in. About 3:30 in the morning. 16 hours later, we will be in Kansas. We will be hunting.
Well, after a very long drive, we rolled into Kansas, and we're excited to get out and start doing a little scouting.
Lazy D, finally. 15 hours later.
Is this what we do every year before hunts?
Well, the first evening out, we're in the stand about 6:30, and this really, we call them tweeners, man. He stepped out, he was in full velvet, great young deer. I put him between 115 and 120, and I just decided that that's not what I came to Kansas for.
You know, it was one of those bucks that was just a tweener, and he decided to pass. Well, the weather was hot, and the deer movement was slow for everybody. Mark was in another area of Kansas, and Greg and I were at the D. Mark had a great idea. He called us up and said, let's all get together and have some lunch.
You know, we come to find that Mark was having the same exact problem we were. There was too much food, and the acorns were dropping, and the deer just weren't coming out in the open.
You know, Greg and I headed back to the Lazy D and hunted hard that whole week. We really didn't have an encounter during filming hours with a big deer, so we were a little disappointed as we pulled out of Kansas.
Well, at the end of the hunt, Dan invited us back, and always thinking, well, we'll have time to come back. We said, sure, we'd love to come back, but you know, in reality, we weren't sure whether we were going to be able to make it to Kansas.
Well, it was a pretty good idea to try to come back in December, but I have to say, from a schedule perspective, it was pretty challenging.
You know, things have changed a lot since I've been here in September. The crops are gone, the acorns had been mostly eaten up, and the deer were just at the end of the rut.
Unfortunately, I had to leave after just 2 days in the Kansas rifle season, but fortunately, Greg was able to stay on and get behind the gun for the rest of the week.
Dan has decided that being that it's the end of the rut, we're going to slide in on a biologic plot that he has on an old homestead plot. It's a great morning. It's about 32 degrees, and the wind is laid. So we're looking forward to this morning. Well, Rick flew out, and it was Dan and I. We were gonna get after him.
We're super close right here. It's only about a 100-yard walk down to the green patch field. So we're gonna be super quiet getting in there. We're gonna slide in. And so we're gonna be in there early enough. Be really quiet, get up in the blind. There might actually be deer on the field, so we're gonna be super quiet.
You know, we got into that barn blind. It was so neat how that laid in there, how you could just sneak down in from that old homestead and slide up in that barn there. And the deer, the barn's been there for years. They just have no idea what's happening right there.
There's another deer coming behind that doe deer. It's a possible shooter. He may not come out. Oh, he's like, I'm thinking 125, 130. Okay, let's see. He's rubbing his teeth. No, he's just sniffing. Get some pre-roll. Oh yeah, I believe he's a shooter. He's down right there. Yeah. How about that? Are you believing that? I'm telling you right now, we're in the barn blind and it happened. I'm telling you right now. It is on right now. Oh, we have put the time into this. Is our second week in Kansas. I was here early muzzleloader and it was so hot and mosquitoes. And we have traveled the Midwest this year relentlessly, and it finally paid off. I'm telling you right now, that is awesome. I cannot believe it.
The deer kind of reared up and ran across that field, and he piled up right there at about 40 yards, and I could not be happier.
Well, we saw that deer go down, so I can't wait to get my hands on him. What a great deer here in Kansas. Got the gun unloaded. We're gonna get down and take a look at him. I can't wait to get over there. Right there, I see horns in the bushes, baby. I've never seen a deer that big in my life.
What a big deer. We slid in here this morning on this green patch field, and we weren't sure what we were gonna see. We had a feeling that these deer needed to fuel up because it's getting near the tail end of the rut, and sure enough, he came out. My partner Rick was in earlier in the week and he had to go home, and Dan Thurston was nice enough to come out here and film me. We're out here at the Lazy D in Kansas, and they have some big deer. The size of this deer, when he first came in, I wasn't even sure if he was a shooter or not. I just thought he was a nice 8-pointer. And then we got to looking at him, and we figured the body size made it look a little smaller than it was. So whew, I cannot be happier right now. I am truly blessed to be able to do this. Well, you know, we went ahead and got him out of there, and that was a chore in itself. Got him back to camp, and I'll tell you what, everybody there was just amazed with the body size on that animal. You know, it's been a truly awesome experience out here in Kansas. You know, Dan and Carla here at the Lazy D, you don't find any better people, and in the areas they have to hunt are just some of the most awesome spots you'll ever see.
You know, we hear a lot of questions about scrape lines and rub lines and where to hang in regards to those that obvious sign. Well, a lot of times we'll kind of go by observed movement and hang off of that sign. So often, or really more often than not, a deer is going to downwind that particular sign anyway. A scrape, in particularly, when they approach that scrape, they're going to hit it from the downwind side. So a lot of times we may be 50 to 60 yards off of that scrape line or off of that rub line and try and catch more by observed movement and playing the wind properly than we would hanging right over that particular sign. And observed movement, we call it MRI, that most recent information is sometimes the most valuable information that you can take into the timber with you.
When you talk about sign and our interpretation of sign, you can look at trails, you can look at rubs, you can look at scrapes, and Terry and I have found through the years that all three of those will lie to you. There is one form of sign that never lies, and that's the size of that track. If we can go into a particular area and find big buck tracks, I'm talking those tracks that from tip back to dew claw are at least 5.5 to maybe 7 inches in length, then you know you're dealing with a big heavy-bodied animal. You know, little bucks scrape, little bucks rub, lots of does and little bucks make those trails. We look for that sign that also has those big tracks associated with it, and then we'll hang off of it and try and take that particular deer. They'll never lie to you.
The snow's coming down, the cold temperatures are here, they're on us. It's the equations you're looking for during the late season. The rut is long gone. It's probably been 15 or 20 days since we've seen rutting activity. As the rutting activity comes to a close and the big deer and the does and the smaller deer move into their feeding pattern for the winter, you really key in on the food sources. We've got tremendous wildlife eye footage. We've got great velvet footage of some good deer in our bean fields from earlier this summer. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I've got one more set to hang. It's gonna be cold, but we've gotta get it in the tree in order to hunt this bean field on the north winds that we have right now.
I've never seen a guy that takes so long to cut all the brush down and then pull a dang tree up in it. Good deer coming. Good deer. Ready to lock up. Get ready to lock up.
What an exciting time. They're just not old enough. We've got a pretty big block of ground under management, and we've said if the deer is not 4 or 5 years old, I'm gonna lay off with the gun. We've got a couple of giant 5-year-olds on our mind. We're going to a new blind, a hay bale blind that we put together this summer.
I've got an Iowa tag, so I particularly enjoy this time of year and this weather. My thoughts are that my cameraman doesn't, as evidenced by the way he looks right now. What do you think about the Iowa late season?
All I got's a camera to shoot with. I'm not enjoying this cold weather very much.
It's a cold northwest wind. We think we've got enough layers on, though, that we can sit out there and stand it behind these hay bales.
I've never done this before. I've never hunted behind hay bales. We don't have a lot of back cover, but we've got all the front cover in the world to move around with the camera and stuff. We know that it works because we were here this summer filming pretty good sized deer in velvet out in this bean field in August. If nothing else, we'll try to prove to ourselves that we're man enough to stand these cold temperatures. There's a giant deer coming over that fence right there. It's the split J2 buck. We've got wildlife eye footage of him. It's the deer, one of the 2 deer we're hunting. I just hope he makes it this way. Oh, giant big shooter coming this way out of the cedars. He's at 140. I'm gonna shoot him right there, 140. Man, am I pumped. Gosh. We stayed aggressive, we stayed after him. We're grinning and bearing this cold weather. It's so cold, it's below 0 right now. The wind chill, I don't even know what to say. I mean, my uncles accuse me of this, Mark in particular, all the time, and my eyes are rolled back in my head. I can't think, I'm not firing all 8 cylinders, and there's a reason for that, because I love this feeling right here. God, it was awesome. It doesn't get any better than this right here. Yes! It's a little cold, but my wife still deserves a phone call. Voicemail. My gosh, what could be more important than deer hunting at this point in the game?
Deer seasons are notoriously filled with highs and lows, and you love to end your deer season on the high of all highs. Hey, look right there. There he is. Dead deer, deer down. Yeah! The snow starts to fall, we find the deer. I couldn't be any happier right at this moment. It doesn't get any better than this. We're gonna have to get him out and prop him up in the morning and take some photos, and oh my gosh, I am one happy hunter. Well, it's St. Nick's Day today, and we have stuffed our stockings with this giant mainframe 9-pointer. Unique characteristic on his right side where his main beam dips down a little bit, takes a curve down. We had to bear some unbelievably cold temperatures, so cold your body hurts all over, but we knew it would be worth it if we could get after one of these big-bodied giants, 5-year-old deer, and it's a rewarding feeling, a lot of time, energy, and effort put into killing one of these big deer, and a lot of family sacrifice. I've got a great family. My lovely wife, Jennifer, and parents and brothers and sisters support me to go out and do this, and it doesn't get any better than this. One happy hunter and one big smile on this face.
We'd had some great wildlife footage early on this summer here in Central Texas, and there was several deer that came around often enough that we had to put a name to them, and Porky was no different. Porky's body size obviously got him his name. Most of these deer here in Central Texas, live weight in 120, 130 pounds. Porky, he looked like he was 160, 170 pounds on that wildlife footage. We knew he was going to be a high scoring 8, a mature buck. I kind of had my sights on him and another deer named Cujo this season. Let's just put it this way, Porky didn't exactly play by the rules. We had a really tough time, especially during the early season. He was only coming in at night. And every time we'd go check that wildlife eye, sure enough, Porky was there, right after we had got out of the set.
Oh, there's him. That's him. Porky.
Not only that, but we had to chase off cows, we had to chase bulls off, or the times we'd go in and set, Shacklet would be sleeping or something, just the luck wasn't on our side. This little area where we did have Porky early in the season was called Little Blanco Crossing. Al got some nice footage of him early on, but the winds started coming out of the north, so we had to move. So trying to change up our luck a little bit, we moved to a different set in mid-November called the Tank Dam. I'll never forget that hunt. I mean, we got right on top of Cujo. It's extremely wide 8-point, very impressive looking, high 130, maybe low 140 class 8. That hunt was so depressing. I mean, it wasn't depressing, it was an awesome hunt, but the fact that we had Cujo 15 to 20 yards in front of us, I'll not forget that hunt for a long time.
It's December 28th, just shy of New Year's Eve. Headed up to Al's place. Just finished working the last couple days, guiding a friend of mine, really off camera, and killed a great deer 2 days ago. It's the middle of the rut, of course, in South Texas. Deer was exhausted. It was 95 degrees that day. 1 o'clock he came into the tank, just dove in, got himself a drink of water, cool off. My buddy made a perfect 32-yard shot, beautiful 8-point. Kind of hoping that luck's gonna rub off on me and Al. This will be our last stand here at his place this year. Season ends on Sunday for our Central Texas. Hopefully Cujo or maybe Porky or whoever decides to present the shot. Rolled in kind of late here at Al's place. Unpacked all my stuff. I mean, I got more stuff than most circuses do, but I had a couple things I needed to do, and the first thing was, reactivate that scent blocker. Been a while since I activated this stuff. Thought I might give it a little juice.
After lights out, it wasn't very long after, it was almost time to wake up again. It's Pretty typical for me to be the last one up. Usually I just like to get in, take my shower, get my stuff, and get rolling.
Like a little girl locking.
What are you doing now?
Dude, don't be locking that door. He sleeps in the lids. He takes long showers. And then in a second you'll hear blow dry. And then it's... Oh, I can't.
Well, it's about 2 days shy of New Year's Eve. Al and I are last hurrah here in Central Texas. We're going back to the legendary tank dam. Anyway, we're running late as usual, and we're gonna try to hook it and get in the stand and see what happens.
Just about getting settled here in the tree. Got the bow pulled up. Basically, Al and I got 2 days to make it happen. About a month and a half ago, we had a great encounter with a deer we call Kuehn. We're hoping maybe he comes back in. There's another deer around here called Porky. Although he's at a good distance off, it's possibly the tail end of the second rut. Maybe he'll be coming in here looking for some does or whatever. It's a beautiful morning, about mid-high 30s. Can't wait to see, about 15 minutes from now, that sun will be peeking up.
As soon as it started getting light, we had deer all over us. It's kind of that post-rut, maybe second rut go around here in Central Texas. And those does were extremely nervous. We just kind of let it play out, and what do you know, I look down to my right and I see Porky, and he just steps in from the thick cedar. When he walked away, I was like, oh, I blew my chance. And the whole time I was thinking about that encounter with Kuehn when the same thing happened back in mid-November. As luck would have it, he came back in. Holy cow. We have been after that deer the whole season. That's an awesome Popignon Central Texas buck. God, I just got to thank Al. We're here on his place, and that is by far, at its easiest, my second largest whitetail ever. Of course, Porky didn't make it easy on us. After he came and left, we finally got a good broadside shot, sun right on him. As soon as I let that arrow go, I knew it was in the money. We've been after this deer since first of the year. We caught him on wildlife by early season. He got his nickname Porky because his body was so huge, at least for here in Central Texas, where most of the deer are weighing about 120, 130 pounds. Just came in, first set, this deer walks in, and I looked at Al and I said, Porky, right away. I mean, he's unmistakable with these awesome G2s, narrow spread, just a beautiful deer here in Central Texas. And he means so much more to me and Al just because of the story. We've been chasing him all year, and wasn't gonna let it pass up. Unbelievable day here in December and in the Texas Hill Country.
You know, when you're looking for that perfect spot, that perfect tree to hunt where you know you're gonna go in and have success, I don't think there's been anything that has changed the way Terry and I hunt more than game monitoring cameras, particularly the wildlife eye. We call it MRI, most recent information, and to the point now, we scout a full year in advance. If we have a particular farm or a particular tree that we don't know how it's going to be in the early season or the rut or late season, we'll use our cameras to let us know how it's going to be so that we can hunt our known spots and our historical excellent trees. And when you go in there take the wildlife eye, say you want to figure out whether the deer are using a water source, you can simply hang the camera up, monitor that water source, find out what's coming there and when, whether they're visiting that water source in the morning or evening or whatever the case may be. But game monitoring really has changed the way we hunt. And if you use it to your advantage and you use it, in our opinion, at least a year in advance, then you can go in and actually kill deer based on those cameras. Nothing has changed the way we hunt more than those cameras.
You know, Mark touched on it briefly, that sometimes we'll scout a year in advance. But you know, I've seen the time where we're scouting 2 and 3 years in advance. And it is all about the amount of time you spend. And when you watch a condensed video where you see deer after deer after deer, that's all fine and good. What you don't see are the number of countless hours that hunters spend afield each year scouting and observing. Well, what the Wildlife Eye has done and what game monitoring in general has done is cut that time down. It has really, really increased our productivity from the time of when we go into an area and we say we're going to hunt this particular spot to the time at which we actually harvest the animal. Because what it's done, it has given us that direction in which an animal will approach either a bedding area or a feeding area or a travel corridor. So it has really cut down on the amount of time that we have to spend in a tree.
The bow season has come and gone, and it's been an incredible bow season. But now it's December, the late season. It's back to food source. It's back to observed movement.
It's cold this morning, 10 degrees, but this is like the third morning in a row, fourth morning in a row. I'm watching these hillsides. I've been seeing some shooters coming through here. There is no substitute for observed deer movement.
You know, when you get into this time of the year, it's strictly a bed to food relationship in the afternoons and a food to bed relationship in the mornings. I like to spend as much time scouting as I do actually hunting.
We watched this fence row from about 3/4 mile away, and we saw about 20 deer jump this fence right here and go that way.
I've been watching this particular trail, and these deer, they've chosen one of 3 different trails each morning to go in. I feel like we've got these deer pegged.
We're gonna hang right here to come in here and try to ambush one of these deer. It's hard to catch a shooter this time of year. It's a rare situation to be this far away from food and see this much travel between bed and food.
We're gonna sneak in there and put this setup in the exact right spot.
Mission accomplished. I feel good about this spot. It took us, I don't know, about an hour to hang the set. The set's in the right spot. We've got good cover. We got great lanes. And the view is unbelievable. You'll see that tomorrow morning. We'll see these deer coming for literally 500-600 yards. It'll be awesome.
But the winds aren't right just yet. This evening, I'm going to one of my favorite spots.
Here it is, December 19th, gun season in Iowa. I've been anticipating this season probably more than any other of the whole year. I love bow season, I love early season, but I felt like if I was gonna have a chance to kill a couple, 1 of 2 really, really good deer on this farm, it'd be during the late season. We've watched these deer a lot in December. We hunt December probably as hard as November, and there's a couple bucks that I'd really like to see, Heart Attack and Corkscrew. And the reason they got names is because I got so much Wildlife Eye of them. They're both fine specimens. I'm hoping to see one of the 2. If I don't, I'm probably not gonna be shooting. First deer of the evening.
One of the reasons I'm excited about this spot is because I know it is a known bedding area for Heart Attack. I got Wildlife Eye of him last year going into this bedding area late season. We hunted all bow season, didn't see him, but we've got Wildlife Eye of him, and I know he's in the area. Truly, he is the deer I'm after this late season. The evening wears on, and all of a sudden I see a deer with the width that takes my breath away. Could this be Heart Attack coming? I glass him, and I recognize this deer as a deer that I call Forks. He's a big, giant, wide, 8-point type of frame with a big fork on his beam. You know, awesome deer, huge deer, but he's not really the deer I'm looking for. I'm holding out.
What did we ever do without weather.com?
When you get into the late season, it's a day in and day out strategy session. You spend inordinate amounts of time on weather.com. You're trying to figure out where you might catch a giant coming to a food source of an evening. It's always good as you lead into that time in and around Christmas. And December the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, you're waiting on that cold front, going from field to stand to field, all these different spots. I'm trying to find one particular deer, and he's just not walking out in daylight. Well, we're back. It's January the 2nd. We drove, made the 5-hour trip. Taylor's still off school, so I brought my little Lucky Charm with me. We got a cold, cold northwest wind, and We're hoping to have some luck tonight, huh, babe?
Yes.
Jared's going to be on camera. I've got the tag in my pocket, and Taylor's going to hopefully supply some good luck. But first, we've got to get across this creek. We're going to a little Ameristep ground blind. There wasn't a tree suitable to hang in, so we put a ground blind up 2 months before the season.
Well, we're in here, in the right part of the world to see one of 2 different really big deer. Both of them, I think, would grow spoon and crocket. One of them's a big 5x5 with some stickers, and the other one's the widest deer I've ever seen. I call him Heart Attack because the first time I saw him on Wildlife Eye, it took my breath away. Got him last year on a gut pile, of all places. And then this year, we got him on a scrape right back here, as well as a protein feeder that I was feeding during the summer. So, this is where he lives. It's where I always get his Wildlife Eye. The front just passed through. It was 50 degrees yesterday. Today's 36. It dropped 14 degrees, but a major front went through. If we're going to get a shot at him, based on the long-term forecast, today's the 2nd. Season ends the 10th. This may be our best chance, if at all, him or the other one. We'll see if they show up.
The evening's right, the weather's right. The deer start pouring off this hillside. The bucks start popping out, and I'm not even considering shooting them because I've got that 1 buck on my mind.
That's a big deer. Yeah, he's 4. That is a great sign. Another buck behind him in the weeds, Jared. There's another. I'm on an 8-pointer with a real sharp brow tip. To the left of that. There's another one? Yeah, they're in the weeds to the left of him. There's 2 bucks. These seem to be all new deer. There's racks all over that hillside. Oh. There's 4 bucks all in a group. There's another one coming. Look at him, look at him.
The movement just gets better and better. Loving life at this point. We've got Taylor there with me. She's witnessing something she's never seen before. That many bucks all in one spot, all of them sparring, jockeying for position. What a great evening to be in the timber.
Why wouldn't you shoot the lighter one on the right?
Let me look at him.
Darkness comes, no heart attack. I'm scratching my head a little bit because a lot of deer were on their feet tonight. I'm wondering if I'm ever going to see this deer.
You know, something that we feel very, very strongly about, and we haven't touched on it yet, is safety. Safety is number 1. I don't care what you're doing or where you're doing it at. When it comes to the deer woods and when it comes to climbing trees, something can happen so quickly, you really don't realize that you're in harm's way until it's too late. So by all means, do as I say, not as I do, because we're as guilty as anybody of sometimes letting our guard down. But always make sure that you're tied off and secured, whether you're climbing the tree, whether you're hanging a stand, or even in your stand. A lot of guys, when they're hunting a lot, or maybe they're working a great deal and they're climbing into a set and they're feeling a little bit drowsy, those are the times when you have to make sure and make certain that you're tied off securely. So first and foremost, always have in the back of your mind, the deer is not as important as your overall well-being. Your safety is of utmost importance.
Here it is, January the 9th. January the 9th, and I am still hunting with my archery tackle. I'm here in Iowa. I've been kind of out of touch here a little bit. We were at the archery show this past weekend down in Atlanta, Georgia this year. And we raced to get up here. Today's Monday. We left Atlanta yesterday, trying to hop in a tree. I got to hang a set yet this afternoon and see what we see.
It's supposed to be a west to northwest wind, and I've got a tree that a lot of deer have been coming past. Now I've got to get Terry talked into hanging it and hunting it the same day.
Boy, that wind feels wrong. You feel that?
He gets up there, all of a sudden the wind starts to get squirrely.
If you feel a bunch of this, you might as well calm down, but it might be all right up there.
The wind's turned completely wrong. I mean, there's no way you can hunt this set with the wind blowing from the field into the timber.
We got an issue. The wind is a north wind. And he says it's good up there, and I've got a south down here, and it's supposed to be out of the north, so it's really swirling right here in this low bottom. We need north or west going out over this north-south bends. Basically, I got Terry to hang a set for me.
He does this to me all the time. He says, yeah, I've got a great spot for you. Steps are in. You just go ahead and hang it. Well, I hang it, then find out the wind won't work. So it's his tactics. They're starting to get under my skin.
Now it's a mad scramble. He decides to go to the 6-acre bottom. I'm going to go to a rolling blind that we have out in the middle of a CRP field.
We're right where John and I want to be. Jared and I sat this field the last night we were here before the bow show, the ATA trade show. And Jared and I went in and we hung a stand in that big oak. We sat there and we saw deer after deer, several bucks coming up through the woods. It felt like we were rut hunting. Awesome encounters, a lot of fun. That was on a south wind. We're on a north wind tonight. And this box blind has been put out in the middle of this CRP field because there's really no tree out here for north. North to northeast is good. These deer will be right here on this hump in front of us. And that's sometimes you gotta improvise. You gotta put box blinds up. You gotta put ground blinds from the mare step up. And we'll see if we have some luck here. I think we're gonna see some deer. I hope we've got the conditions right to actually kill one. We talk about hang to kill. This one was basically built to kill. Boy, there's a big 8 coming. There's 2 big 8s coming out.
This huge 8-point walks out, and it's a buck that I had unbelievable wildlife eye of during velvet. I have unbelievable wildlife of him the whole season, but it was always at night. I have never seen this buck during daylight. Now it's decision time. I decide I'm gonna try and take this deer, and all of a sudden, another giant 10 enters the field.
There's another big 10 out there. Got him. Stay on him if you can. Whew. I got you. That puts an end to the season. January the 9th, the second last day. They put on a mega move tonight. Incredible 10-point. I got one clip of wildlife eye of that deer early in the season. I said, my gosh, he's a giant, just perfect 10. He'll net what he grosses. And I couldn't be any happier than I am right now because he mule kicked it. I think we got him, Johnny.
As I sat there, I wondered how Brother Terry was doing.
I just heard Brother Mark shooting. I hope he killed one. I know that was Mark, because I could tell where it was coming from. I hope he shot a good one. I'd be glad if he did.
So I reviewed the shot in the camera. To me, it seemed a little low in the little viewfinder. I wanted to show Terry and get his thoughts.
Is he quartering away?
He's quartering away. Pretty good, actually.
So still might have got in the heart, top of the heart.
He mule kicks like a son of a gun.
Oh, he's dead.
He's done.
dead as a doorknob.
That's why we come back to look at it. You know, we felt good about the shot. It's super, super cold tonight. We're just gonna wait for better tracking light in the morning. Oh, look, we got a deer. We got a deer. Yes. What a beautiful ending to my late season hunt. It's been a fun late season, I'll say that. And when you manage for deer of this age, I believe he's 5.5, then you're really trying to hunt an animal that just doesn't walk much during daylight. And they weren't walking at all this late season during daylight. We had a lot of fun though. We had a lot of different encounters, and we called this video Hang to Kill. And during the late season, it gets especially interesting to try and get yourself in the right position to take a deer, because during the rut, you're dealing with a deer here, a deer there, and you can get by with a few deer getting downwind. But during the late season, when there's one big destination that they're all going to, if you clear it, you're done. So you've got to get yourself basically in a situation that is downwind from all the deer, and you can't let any of them get downwind of you or they're gonna clear. What a big buck, what a nice story. I feel really lucky to be sitting behind this giant. What a great end to the season. What a great end to Hang the Kill. I hope you've enjoyed this production, because I'll tell you what, Terry and I sure enjoy bringing them to you, and I'm enjoying it a lot right now. Thanks for watching Hang the Kill. Thanks for watching Drury Outdoors. We create this stuff for you. Thanks for allowing us to do what we do. We went the whole season, and we hunted as hard as we could for one particular buck, and it didn't happen. I ended up shooting a beautiful whitetail, but in my mind, I was still wondering about heart attack. And in March, I have an annual shed hunt. 10, 15 guys walking for 3 or 4 straight days, and all of a sudden, I got a message on the little walkie-talkie, one that I really didn't want to hear. Yeah, go ahead.
Southwester here. I just found heart attack here in the bottom.
His sheds?
No, sir, I found him. It's his body. It's his carcass.
Ooh, yeah. All right, I'll hoot or something so I know where you're at. All right, I got you. I got a line. Mark Luster called. He had found heart attack sheds. Unfortunately, they were still attached to his skull. Oh, God. That's him. Here's this buck we had chased the entire season. We chased him with bows, we chased him with guns, and he never showed up. I think we were looking at the reason why. We got to call the game warden. Yeah, hey, we came across a really big deer while shed hunting, and before I move him, I wanted to find out what the laws were and that type of stuff. He said that because we're shed hunting, he said, like, if this happened during the rut, you couldn't move him or anything. He'd have to see the body, but he said just film the area and he'll give us a salvage tag is what you call it, a salvage tag. So we'll at least we'll get him tagged legally, and he'll eventually end up on a wall, huh? What a mega giant! What an unbelievable whitetail, and it's been a long story that it has a sad ending, really. What an incredible deer, and what an incredible story. We hate to share it in this fashion, but it is what it is. I mean, they live, they grow to maturity, and then they die. We don't know the reason that heart attack was dead. We hate that we didn't get a chance to actually put him on film for you, but he did give us so many memories. 2 different times I got wildlife eye of him, and when he turns and looked at that camera, man, we nicknamed him Heart Attack. And then of course all summer we were looking for him. We never saw him in velvet, but the wildlife eye got him in velvet one time at one of our high protein feeders we feed during the summer. And then in the rut, I set it up on a scrape not far from here and got just 2 amazing views of him. One from this side and one looking straight into the camera. And I mean, it will give you a heart attack. He's just an unbelievable deer. I'm gonna guess he's probably right at 30 inches in width overall. He has to be. Just an unbelievable deer. And here we all are together. I guess if there's some light at the end of the tunnel, the fact that we all were together to share him, But not the way we wanted to find him, obviously. We've had a great shed hunt, but this kind of takes the wind out of our sails a little bit. End of the chapter for old Heart Attack. It's rare in your life that you ever get to hunt a world-class deer, and we felt like Heart Attack was, and indeed he was. The tape was the proof of that. He ended up grossing $199, netting 187, a true Boone and Crockett, and his inside spread was 29 5/8, which places him tied for 5th all time in the Boone and Crockett record books. What an incredible specimen.
Well, you heard several tips that we had in and about tree stand hanging. And we're not saying that those are the absolute gospel. What we are saying is that we've learned over the years, and we've learned the hard way. We've made all the mistakes in the books. And all I can say is that we hope sincerely that those mistakes that we've made throughout the years and learned from example can help you harvest your next whitetail. Thank you for choosing Volume 6, Hang to Kill. It was created for you.